This podcast today will save lives. To even save one life, then we've done good. Kevin Briggs is an internationally recognized FBI-trained crisis negotiator and mental health advocate, nickname Guardian of the Golden Gate.
Every single person that I help, I never say saved. I didn't save anybody. I think I assisted folks on a dark day in their life.
This is a personal thing. If I can help anyone to not have to face that feeling alone, then I feel like at least my late husband didn't die in vain.
99% of these folks don't want to hurt anybody else. They are just tired. They think they have used all means possible. It is about them. Everything is about them. We're always trying to fix things, where really we need to take a step back and say, let's just listen and let people know, man, that's got to be tough.
Tomorrow, the sun will still come up and there's still another opportunity to live and change whatever the problems are. This podcast today will save lives, and it will transform the way that you see your own life and the people that you're living around in unison with, and even the strangers that you see on the street. Today is the day that your perspective on life will be raised and it will be transformed in the hope that we will be able to make a very large dent in people choosing suicide over beginning again or starting their life from the point they're at. The guest that I have on today is a powerful, powerful man that I tried to get on through asking my assistants to reach out to him and all these kind of silly ways. And finally, I just said, you know what? I'm just going to ask him directly. And so I did. I went on Instagram. I slid into his DMs and I just asked him if he would come on the show. And he said yes, as graciously as someone could. So I am so honored to have Kevin Briggs on this show today. Kevin is an internationally recognized FBI-trained crisis negotiator and mental health advocate. And within that unbelievable training, he also has had lived experiences where he's been featured on technology and entertainment and Design 2014 conference as a TED Talk speaker. He was on NBC's Access Live, Yahoo News, the New York Magazine, Men's Health Magazine, NPR's Bob Edwards radio show, People Magazine, USA Today, The Jennifer Hudson Show, as well as other magazines, newspapers, radio stations, and podcasts worldwide. His first book, Guardian of the Golden Gate, was released in July 2015. Briggs, a retired California Highway Patrol sergeant, spent many of his years patrolling the Golden Gate Bridge. And while on patrol, he encountered numerous individuals who had lost all hope and were contemplating suicide. Through compassion and the ability to listen to understand, and I quote that because this is his philosophy, that we should listen to understand. He encouraged several hundred individuals over the course of his career not to end their lives, but to begin a new chapter. And these challenging but rewarding efforts earned him the nickname Guardian of the Golden Gate. Briggs served 3 years in the United States Army. Thank you for your service. 3 years with the California Department of Corrections and 23 years as a California Highway Patrolman. Since retiring from the California Highway Patrol, he has dedicated his time to promoting mental health awareness and resiliency worldwide. His own lived experiences included coping with child abuse, battling cancer at age 20, undergoing heart surgery, and being a suicide loss survivor. He openly shares how faith, resiliency, and post-traumatic growth have played a significant role in guiding him through these challenges. So now, for you and I, prior to Kevin coming on, I want to have just an honest conversation with you, just real talk. Bottom line is this, is that my purpose in having Kevin on is because if I can make any dent in this crisis of people dying by suicide and suffering to the point where they no longer believe that they have any chance that they don't believe that there's any solutions, that they don't believe that they're valuable enough to live. What I want to say is, if we can do anything together to even save one life, then we've done good. And so today for me, this is a personal thing. I lost, as many of you know, I lost my precious and dear husband to death by suicide. And so it's very dear to my heart. If I can take one thing from that extreme loss, if I can help anyone to not have to face that feeling alone, and also to not make that ultimate choice that is such a destruction to everyone who loves them or who knows them. If I can make any dent in that, then I feel like at least my late husband didn't die in vain. So I hope to have a trail of people who have decided a different path. And in the name of CJ, my late husband, I'm hoping that he can see it and say, you know what, at least, my death served as a way to draw as many people back to life. So I like to take things that are dark, things that are troublesome, things that we feel like we can't fix, and not bury myself in them. What I love to do is take the worst of worst situations and find some way, somehow, to make life and beauty out of it. And it may seem, counterintuitive for me to want to take something that was so tragic in my life and then, mix it up, churn it up, do something to make it into something good. Even though, let me make it very clear, it's not good. Okay. It was not good for me. It was not good for him. It was not good for his children or anyone involved. However, if we have no control over a dark circumstance, how about we say, how can I use the shit out of this circumstance to help as many people as I can? How can I use the shit out of this circumstance to somehow get some goodness out of something that was so bad? Somehow to help as many people as we can. So that is my primary purpose here. And knowing that there's this guardian out there that spent all these years just being right there on the front lines with these hurting, hopeless people who just needed someone to hear them, just needed someone to point them to tomorrow, that tomorrow is still, the sun will still come up and there's still another opportunity to live and change whatever the problems are. And that there's always a solution. We may not have found it yet, but there is always a solution. So without any further ado, it is my greatest honor to have this incredible man come on and to share his experience, strength, and hope with all of us. Please do not walk away from this podcast without thinking about a way in which you can take this application of knowledge of what you hear and bring it to your life. That maybe you'll open your eyes a little sooner. Maybe you'll notice someone on the street that just, you can see a loss of hope, the despair. Maybe you can ask a person a question. Hey, you doing all right? Like, you just seem off, how can I be here for you? Whatever it is, take a moment. And even for yourself, if you are a person who's struggling or considering that life is not valuable, or you feel like there's no way out or there's no solution for you, I can promise you, as long as the day is long, that there is always a solution. And at any moment, a snap of a finger, just something, a person on the street, a little shift in something, a little shift in the way you think, a little this or that can put you on a path that is completely different than the despairing path that you're on. So without any further ado, and I always keep giving more further ado, don't I? That's my personality. Okay, so I'm going to bring on Kevin Briggs, and I'm really hopeful to get Kevin Berthia on as well. And you'll learn more about him too. Hey, everyone. It's me again, Alison from Alison Answers and Logger Counseling Services. As I mentioned before, with a lot of ado, I mentioned that Kevin Briggs the guardian of the Golden Gate Bridge, is here to share his experience, his strength, and his hope in regard to this crisis we have of people dying all day long by suicide. And what I mentioned earlier, Kevin, just to say, is that the purpose of this podcast is to be able to reach any heart that is discouraged to the point of despair, that does not feel like there are any other options but suicide, and also to speak to the people who've already lost people to suicide and how difficult and traumatic that is. And if we reach one person and change a life, then we've done well. But I am certain that we're gonna change the course of how this whole thing is going. So I just want to thank you. I want to honor you for being here. And I am so grateful that you're here. So
thank you, Alison.
Welcome.
Thank you very much. Absolute pleasure to be here with you. Thank you for having me.
So behind you is that beautiful Golden Gate Bridge. And I'm going to take us back to the beginning a little bit. And I want to just ask you, you were this California State Patrolman, if I'm saying it the right way. So right now, then you're assigned to the Golden Gate Bridge. Right before you became involved in saving lives, what was your perspective on suicide prevention, like before that first day that you had to face it?
I really didn't think about it. I didn't know anything about it. My father had lost his father to suicide, but he never spoke. He spoke about it, I believe, one time in my entire life. He didn't speak about it. It was a big no-no, as it was way back then when this occurred. I think my father was only 3 years old when his father lost his life to suicide. But this really didn't cross my mind. And what's strange is my father had a business in San Francisco, and we lived in Marin County, which when you cross that bridge, that's Marin County. So he crossed it every day, Monday through Friday. When I, at times working with him, I crossed that bridge all the time. Never a thought occurred in my mind about suicide or what occurs on that bridge or worldwide.
Yeah.
Not a clue.
Yeah. So it just wasn't in your periphery. It just wasn't a thing. So when was, if you remember, like the moment that you were first faced with having to, go on a call where someone is on that bridge and wants to jump?
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
Well, I wondered why, when I was able to get to the Marin area of the California Highway Patrol, why a lot of people did not want to work on the bridge. And I thought just because maybe it's so cold all the time. It's always cold down there. You see the picture behind me, but it's foggy a lot. In the summer, especially, instead of August, we call it Fogust. It's foggy there a lot in the summer. But when I started working down there, my first call as someone attempting suicide was a lady over the rail. When you go over this pedestrian rail, there's an I-beam on the other side of that. And that's where a lot of people stand. And when I got up to her, my whole time I'm thinking, I'm not trained in this. I had zero training in how to talk to someone, in negotiation skills. So I'm thinking, if she jumps, am I at fault? What do I do here? Should I grab her? Should I not? I didn't have a clue of what to do.
Yeah.
So I talked with her for quite some time. And she had abused drugs and alcohol most of her life. I think she was around 35 or so. And just was tired, couldn't see tomorrow, had just had enough. So I had empathy, and I really dug down deep to try to show her. And I've stuck with this: reason, purpose, and hope. What can we find in folks? What can we find in ourselves? But she did come back over the rail that day. And partly this may sound humorous, but partly is I think she had empathy for me because she could see the look on my face. Like, oh my God, I'm scared to death, or what do I do?
Yes. But that's beautiful, because that's like a real human experience together that you both shared. I wanted to ask you this, and I was going to ask you later, but I'm diving right in, because this, to me, this is something I would ask like off camera, but I'm asking anyhow. So like, as a police officer, the way I think, if you're not thinking about suicide, right? And if you're thinking about a task, So this is what I'm always like trying to tell the therapist here. If you think about a task, I just have to get that person off that. I have to get them over the rail, and that's it. Not I have to solve the root issue so that they don't want to go jump again. Like, what do I like? So what I'm curious about, and I heard you describe it, that here you are, like, what makes you know whether, like, because the picture of you just leaning on the bridge with Kevin Berthia, and we'll get into that, but just listening without feeling this urge that I'm just grabbing this guy. I'm getting this guy over the other side and we can talk later. It's just like, I want to know, like, because that's like a healthy, like, deep risk that seems to work.
Right.
You know,
there's several things that I do that I just learned along the way. And I will tell you, every single person that I helped, I never say saved. I didn't save anybody. I didn't rush into a burning building, but I think I assisted folks on a dark day in their life. But if they're over that rail and I'm talking to them, I try to put myself in their shoes. So when I come up to them, I don't even go all the way up. I stand back about 15 feet or so. I raise my right hand and I introduce myself. Hi, I'm Kevin. Is it okay if I come up and talk with you for a while? I'm not Sergeant Kevin Briggs, California Highway Patrol. Who cares? It is about them. Everything is about them. So I'm thinking, if that's me, I would want somebody to stand back and, hey, who are you coming up here? And I don't grab folks,
right?
Because number one, it's so cold and nasty down there that your hands and everything get cold and moist. And if I grab someone and they jerk back, we may lose them. Number two, if I really get them and they really pull, I could go over too.
Yeah.
But I want folks to think and realize that how much courage that it takes to get to that level of being over that rail, 220 feet down, wherever it is, whether you got it sitting in a car with a gun to your head, whether you're on top of a building. Imagine the courage that it takes to get to that level. And 99% of these folks don't want to hurt anybody else. This isn't retaliation.
Right.
They are just tired. They think they have used all means possible to have a decent life, and they just can't see around this. They can't, a lot of times they don't see tomorrow. So they think that they're a burden to folks, and they just don't want to be around anymore. They're tired. When we look over, if we were on that bridge and we look over the rail, we see porpoises and seals and really cool ships going in and out. When someone is actively suicidal and they're looking over that rail, they look down at that water and they see peace. Quite different than what we see.
Yeah.
But what I want to do is get them to have the courage to come back over and say, yes, I want to try life again. I will help them come back over. But I think if we can get to that level to where, yes, I want to live, their chances of long-term survival are much, much better. So that's what I want to do through reason, purpose, and hope. Hopefully all three of those. Finding what can we do. And you said it, not try to fix anything. That would be not good. Not good at all if I'm trying to fix all these things because they've been working on them all their lives a lot of times.
Yes.
Who am I to come up and try to fix something now? But there's ways around all this, and I'm happy to discuss with you. But that is my core about this, is being there for them, using, if I am allowed to use their first name, like with Kevin Berthia, everything I say is going to be, hey, Kevin, have you thought about this? Hey, Kevin, what about this? Hey, Kev. So I'm going to personalize everything. And it makes it a lot harder for somebody to do something negative, so to speak, when you have built this rapport and this however long relationship.
I love that. That is so good. One of the things that you just described is like them having the agency, them having made their own decision to come back over. I feel like then they own it, right? Instead of like someone forcing them, which is very helpful for me having counseling centers, because, a lot of it will be like, oh, everything's off limits now. We just got to save their life, put them on suicide watch and all of that. But what's the depth of how to really make it so that they live their life? And what you just said, you were talking about personalizing it. And I'm going to do a side note and come right back. So I don't really need to talk about me and whatever else, but one of the things that people have shared with me because of my own husband's death by suicide, they have shared with me the moment different people came to me and said, I had a gun in my mouth too. And this is the thing that happened. Like one man told me, I just looked up at the clock and all of a sudden I realized that my child is going to come home from school. Like they didn't have that in their sense at it's just one little second. And, it's like, and another man who's just, I love him. So this person is not a bad man. So I just want to be really clear. He told me that when he had the gun in his mouth, he believed he wanted to die. And he also believed that, which I believe my husband felt too, is that his death is better for every other person involved.
Yes.
And yeah.
Exactly.
And yeah. And I know that is like the suicide mind. It's like an eclipse over the reality, the truth.
Absolutely.
So, yeah. So I would love to hear, love is not a good word. It would mean a lot to me to hear like your experience, even just with Kevin Berthia, or just the people who were responsive to you and how you evolved over time to become the man who is able to have so many people come over.
Sure. Well, one thing I did is I did get training as my years progressed with the Highway Patrol. We have in first responder world a CIT, Crisis Intervention Team Training, CIT. Oh, cool. So that was a couple of years into me doing this type of work. And then way later in my career, almost to retirement, when I went through the FBI Crisis Negotiator School, which was absolutely wonderful. And I do work with them now. But, all of these for first responders, all of this should have taken place before I stepped foot on that bridge. What a disservice to not only us, but the folks that we're talking to.
Yes.
Come on, we got to have some common sense, or I get furious at that with the lack of training. Mm-hmm. But I learned so many things from the folks that I assisted. Mm-hmm. For instance, Kevin Berthia, when he came back over, before we left that scene, I asked him, and I can tell his story freely about what happened that day.
Yeah, I'd love to hear it.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Well, let me dig into that, and then I'll tell you what he said. But it was just another routine day for me. I ride a motorcycle on the Highway Patrol, just another day, and I was down. There's a little town called Sausalito just north of the bridge. I was down there having some coffee. And I get a call of a man on the sidewalk holding a cell phone saying that he's going to jump. So I can get up there easy enough and I can get down on the sidewalks because I ride a motorcycle. Well, as I'm going south on the Golden Gate Bridge towards San Francisco on the sidewalk, I see the description of him, and he's by the North Tower. And I stop about 50 feet away or so. And as I'm getting off of my motorcycle, he looks my direction and then just runs over and jumps over that rail. And he's quite athletic, he's 22 at the time. And he just jumps over the rail. Now, the only thing I thought to do was yell something at him, more of a scream something at him.
Yes.
And I did, and it caught his attention kind of almost midair. He reached out, grabbed the rail, swung around, and landed on this little bitty pipe. I don't know if the folks have seen the picture, but there is a picture about this.
I've seen it.
So he lands on that little bitty pipe, but from where I was, I couldn't see him. I thought he was gone. I thought he's 220 feet down in the story. So I ran up there, and then I could see his white T-shirt through the slats of the bridge. So I stepped back, and I do things a little bit different based on what I have learned. But I stay back. I raised my right hand, introduced myself, and asked his permission to come back up or to come up and speak with him. And he was furious. He wanted nothing to do with me. It was kind of like I foiled his plan of going over the bridge. But he just kept screaming at me. This is 10, 15 minutes. Don't come one step closer. If you do, I'm jumping. And you could see he was very, very serious about this. So it took some rapport building and telling him my first name is Kevin and trying to get his first name before he allowed me to come up and speak with him. And when he did, I really just wanted to listen to his story, what's been going on. So after a little bit of time, he began talking, and he started way back as a kid. And most of the time I was kneeling down because If you see that picture, I'm actually above him looking down.
Yeah,
I don't like
yeah.
that. I'd like to get to eye level,
Yes.
always keeping officer safety in mind. But to me, I felt safe with him and as far as I could. So I was kneeling down trying to get to eye level. But
Can I ask you a quick
to
question?
talk. Yes.
When you, at that moment, when he allowed you to come closer to him, what do you think it was? Was it just an accumulation of conversation, or do you think there was something magical about something you said, or?
I think it was the assurances of me telling him only I am coming up here, because he was really nervous. He kept looking side to side, thinking people are going to come over and grab him.
Yes.
And all that. And I reassure him, it's just me. I am not going to touch you, grab you, anything else. I just want to talk to you. Can you allow me some time just to talk to you? I said, we have all day, things like this, just to buy some time. So he did allow me to come up. And then he started talking, and it was kind of like he wanted to talk. He just never had this opportunity.
Yes.
So I am not going to get in and ask him questions on it. Let them talk. That's huge. What am I learning when I'm talking? Nothing. When they're talking, I'm gathering information. They're venting, so they'll probably feel a little better after they vent.
Yeah.
So just let them speak. I used a couple of different active listening skills. Validation, wow, man, that sounds really tough. Yeah. And then minimal encouragers when he's speaking, just, wow, really? Is that right? So I'm not stopping him. I'm letting him go, but I'm letting him know that I'm there and I'm there for him. So he found out he was adopted. His birth mother gave him up. And we know that can create a lot of issues for folks as they get older. Yes. And they don't think they're good enough, and a whole gamut of things. Yes. So he started with that. Adopted when he was 6 months old. His family, he grew up in Oakland in the Bay Area. This adopted family loved him very much, but he did have some mental illness and was on some medication for some time. And a big coping mechanism was playing sports. A lot of his issues came at night when he was trying to sleep. He would think, I'm not good enough, and all these different things, and would really haunt him. So what he found to do was play all the different sports he could and run himself ragged during the day, so at night he could get some rest. And he did this all through school. But when he got out of school, he had to think, well, what am I going to do now? And he went and got a job, but it wasn't enough. So he got a second job, and then he also enrolled in college. All these things to take up his mind so he could kind of wear himself out and get some rest. And on top of all this, a little while later, he thought, you know what? If I start a family, things will get better. So he and his girlfriend had a child, but his child was born premature, and she had to stay in the hospital. Now, Kev thinks, what did I do to cause harm to this baby? Once again, I've failed. Now, when his baby was able to come home, so did a bill for around $250,000. And on top of this, he had lost both of his jobs. So now he thinks, you know what? Boy, I've just messed up again. I can't take care of my family. It's just everything has gone wrong. So finally, he made a decision that, you know what? I don't want to be here anymore. Everything I do just is a mess. He had never been to the Golden Gate Bridge before. He didn't know it was the #1 spot in the United States for loss of life to suicide. So he found his way over there. He had to go over the Bay Bridge. He asked directions on how to get over to the Golden Gate. And I'm listening to this over the course of an hour and kind of repeating some of it back to him to make sure I understand. So remember, I'm trying to find reason, purpose, and hope for this guy to continue on. So after about getting up close to an hour, I started talking more about his baby and finding out that his child was going to have her first birthday the following month. So I did a couple of different things, but I asked him, well, Kev, don't you want to be there for your baby on her first birthday? Let him think about things. Now, I'm not trying to shame him. I get some things from mental health professionals sometimes. Well, that's shaming and some of the different things I said, but it's different when you're way up 220 feet tall.
Of course.
It is a different type of things. The folks up there are not thinking straight.
No.
They're surrounded by this huge negative bubble. So I'm going to throw everything at them, not to tell them, how could you do this to your child? No, we're not saying that. But I would say things like, Kev, don't you want to be there for her first birthday?
Yeah.
I said, you can come back here anytime you want, but let's get you back over this rail and seeing your child. And I also told him, brother, if you jump today, your child is at a much greater risk for suicide. Not to put any kind of shame on him, but I want him to know the truth too.
I agree with that.
I'm not trying to fix long term. I'm trying to get him over this rail and to safety for this crisis right now. And you spoke about that.
Yes.
This isn't about me fixing anything long term. This is about right here, right now.
Yep.
Yes.
I don't think it's shaming, by the way. I think you're telling him the actual truth. You're just bringing the truth to him and giving him a choice, like an opportunity. So I think what you did, it sounds great to me.
Good.
Just so you know.
Thank you. But they do make that choice. The choice is theirs, whether they want to live or not that day. Mm-hmm. And then after we spoke for a while about this, I wanted to take a break because I think they have so many things going on in their mind that let's give them a little bit of time. So I asked him, Kev, I'm going to step back and give you a little time to think, but I'm only going to do so if you promise me not to do anything until I come back up here. And he agreed to it, just this verbal agreement between us. So I stepped back about, 15, 20 feet, gave him just a few minutes. And he was leery. He started looking to the sides, thinking somebody's going to come on the sides and get him and all these things. But then he calmed down after a few minutes. I just wanted to give him some time.
That is fascinating to me.
Well, I wanted to think about things. I'm thinking if it's me in that situation. This
is so fascinating. Because here you are. And then to me, my instinct is I want to get closer. And you're backing up. That is so much faith, trust, and believing that this man can process. I find that fascinating that you did that. I didn't know that.
Well,
what made you do that? What made you think to do that?
Books. These are things that I learned on my own.
I know that.
Books. And just going with my gut. You know what? What if it was me over that rail?
Yeah. Yeah.
Give me some time. Just back off. Give me some time. I'd be, angry.
Yes.
So I'm going to offer that time. Give them to. I've never lost someone doing that, by the way. Lucky, humbled, blessed, whatever you want to call it. But
I think you're listening and you're hearing what you're supposed to do. Maybe in the moment you don't realize, it sounds almost like you're inspired, like you're getting a message from God. He's
helping me. I'll tell you that. He's helping me because I couldn't do this alone. I can't do this alone.
Yes, I can't either, honestly. Any of it.
No,
okay. Yeah.
But I gave him some time.
Yeah.
And then I raised my hand against Kev because I do it to show him there's no weapons and it's just us. My weapon's on my right side. Hey, it's just me just coming up to talk. If I could, I would take off this monkey suit and
Did you tell him that? Did you tell him that or you just think it?
No, I did not tell him that.
Okay.
But I do. Another thing I do is if they're not wearing a jacket, I'm not wearing a jacket. I want to feel what they're feeling.
Oh, wow.
And it gets nasty cold up there. It really does. If folks ever go to that bridge, please bring a jacket. I don't care what degree it is in San Francisco or in Marin, because if you just go 5 miles up, you can get 80 degrees easy. Down on that bridge, it'll be 60 degrees, wind blowing like hell and foggy, and it is a huge microclimate.
What makes so you take off your jacket if they're not wearing a jacket, right? Do you say anything to them that you're doing that, or you just do it? Just as
purely
I
visual.
got it.
Yeah.
Is it just for you?
It is.
Yeah, got it.
It is.
That's
I want to be into that. My whole mindset, and it's a little different. I rely on officers on each side because we hold the pedestrians back to see anything else going on. My whole view is very narrowed to that individual.
And that's intentional.
10 feet other way. They have to watch for me.
I love that. And side note, and I don't want to interrupt, but this, to me, I feel like for everything, for marriage, for all human behavior, it's listening to understand is such a lost art and without any agenda. So you're there just with him, just to understand him. or whoever's there. And I feel like that is key to like love, life, so much. So I just
really
love
is.
it. Yeah,
And it is a lot of work. You are tired when you are done.
I am sure. Yes,
It's worth it.
it is worth it.
Really, if that
Yes.
was in my darkest day, I hope somebody would put 100% of their efforts into that to give me
Yes.
another chance.
Yes, of
It's
course.
no claim to fame. It's no look at me, look at me, look at me. No, nothing like that. It is always about them. So then I asked his permission to come back up. He allowed me, and we talked for a little while longer, another half hour or so. And I kept focusing on his child. And finally, because most of the time, the majority of the time, he was looking down. He didn't even look up and see who I was.
Wow.
But after about an hour and a half, he looked up and he said, I want to come back over. Great. Let's not slip. Let's not mess this up. So we took hold of him, brought him back over. And before we left that scene, I asked him, Kev, what did I do that helped this situation? And what did I do that maybe wasn't so good that hurt the situation?
So
He
good.
thought briefly, and then he just said, you know what? You listened. You let me speak, and you listened. So, all the time he has been telling folks this or showing folks or whatever it was, they would try to fix things. And that's what we try to, especially as guys, we're always trying to fix things. Where really we need to take a step back and say, let's
Yes.
just listen and let people know, man, that's got to be tough. Let me go through this with you. Let me carry some of that burden. You can call me 24 hours a day. If I can't pick up the phone, I will as soon as I can. I'm huge on validation and normalization. Those
Yes.
are really, really big for me.
Yes. I love this so much.
And then
Did
one
he
thing
say
that,
anything he didn't like?
no, that was all he said.
Yeah.
That was all he said.
Awesome.
But I did tell him this, and for any if there's law enforcement listening, but I want folks to know this because this is kind of critical at some points and with some people. The handcuffing. So almost every single person I dealt with, the vast majority did not have a warrant, did not do anything wrong. They were just going through a very, very dark time in their lives, and they wanted that darkness to end. They couldn't see past it. So I would tell them, when you come back over, not if, but when you come back over, I have to place you in handcuffs. That's only because it's our policy. So now they're a little relieved because they think, you know what, when I come back over, now I'm being arrested, compounding everything I'm already here for, and it becomes very messy. But if they don't have a warrant or anything, I tell them this, and you could see a little bit of relief from folks.
Wow. So yeah, I didn't, you know what? I never even thought of that.
Yeah.
So that when they come back over, is it any person? It doesn't matter if there's any warrant that they have to be put in handcuffs. Yes.
Correct.
Do they
Yes.
get arrested?
No, not in the United States, as far as I know. No, other countries, yes, you are arrested because it is illegal to attempt suicide. There's still those places in the world, but not here. They are detained. We take them down to a local hospital, and that's the end of it. I don't follow up with folks. Hopefully, never see them again. I wish them the very, very best. But I tell them, if you want to come up to the bridge sometime, hey, feel free, come up. It's beautiful up here. But let's stay on the sidewalk.
Do you, there is a story that I saw that you shared, where listening, like, I believe the man's name was Jason. So you're listening and really giving your heart. And another, officer as well was there for Jason. And he did not have that same experience. So I'm just wondering two things, what it was like for you, and then is there anything that you would have done differently or, that you learned from that experience?
You never know what you're coming up into. You don't know the outcome. They make the call to do whatever they do. Jason was an extremely intelligent young man who had just been struggling with his own identity and mental illness for quite a few years. But he was just brilliant and well-versed in religion and politics and sports, not under the influence of alcohol or drugs. And we spoke for about an hour. And then he asked us, he goes, "So do you guys know the story of Pandora's box?" And I said, yes, but for folks, Zeus created Pandora and sent her down to earth with a box and told her under no circumstances ever, ever, ever open the box. Well, one day she does, and out flies all sorts of plagues and sorrows and things. The only good thing in that box was hope. Now, Jason says, when I open that box, hope is the greatest evil. Like he had been thriving, trying to be with hope for so many years, and it just wasn't working out.
Oh my God.
So it really got me when he said that. And I'd never heard anything like this. Hope is the greatest evil. So I thought we were kind of in the middle of this conversation, but he was sitting on this I-beam that's over the rail. So we really had to get down low to speak with him. And it's so noisy and windy out there. But after this, he was sitting on the cord. We call the cord. He straightened up and he just looked forward, and I could see a tear come down his right cheek. And he just leaned to his right and was gone. Just breaks your heart. Yeah.
Yeah. What was that like for you?
Oh, it's brutal. I thought we were in the middle of this negotiation, conversation, whatever you want to call it. And to have that hope in this young kid who was just anybody, but this guy, he was just brilliant and, well-mannered and kind. And you can just see what mental illness and things do to folks.
Yes.
You just couldn't get past it. And yeah, absolutely just sad.
There's a side note just brought up for me because I heard that story, but I didn't know the details about his level of intelligence. And one of the things that I've discovered, just by being a therapist and being a mom of like a genius, is that they are at such risk. They're at such risk, highly intelligent people. And most people don't know that. Like you'll see people on the streets of Manhattan and they're homeless, but they're like uniquely crazy smart, but they feel crazy. And one of the things is that there's this, someone who has that like higher level of intelligence, almost their emotions are so much more vivid. They experience them so much more deeply. They don't just see like, a sad moment. They like cascade out into this big, overwhelming experience. So it's like, I feel like that's even part of like, I've had people come in, for therapy and they're like 70 years old and have never gotten anywhere that they wanted to in their life. And it's because they're so intelligent, and just sharing that with them gives them hope. Wow. So if that can just be something that people hear, because I've experienced that a lot of time talking to people, I'm like, oh, I hear it. It's your intelligence and your emotional, vivid life that's tripping you up. And this is global. This is an issue that you may not realize this can be fixed. So I just want to say that if anyone's listening who has that experience, because every 5 minutes, someone who's like high level intelligence, they're having like an existential crisis about life. Yeah. I feel like that happens to me. I'm not saying I'm like some crazy genius, but like every 10 minutes, I'm like, oh my God, what is the meaning of life? And how am I here? And this is scary. Like, so anyhow,
that's great.
To that note, I mean, it's something that gets lost. Like people just look and see like, oh, they're crazy mental ill. And I'm using the word crazy because people will see them that way.
Yes.
And they're seen that way most of their life. They don't fit in, but it's the only handicap is their high, incredible IQ, EQ, all of it. Crazy, right?
Absolutely.
So, yeah.
Yeah.
So if that helps anyone out there, genius wise. Okay. So back to what we're saying, that for you, for this beautiful soul, Jason, it just kills me to hear about this young man. So now for you, how did you recover or continue to recover, from that?
He's always there, comes into my mind from time to time. But I try to look, and having lost members of my family to suicide, I try to think what would they want us to do? And Jason said this, and so have others, that I want my family to be happy.
Mm.
So I try to think, well, now you're seeing things through my eyes. One of the coping mechanisms that I would use as a griever, so to speak, is, okay, we're going here. We're going here. You're going to see things through my eyes now. And I hope you like it.
Yeah.
That kind of thing, that helps me.
Oh,
So
you'll
try
say
to live
that. You'll
your
say that
best
to yourself or to him?
I say it for me, about him and others. Okay.
Oh, yes.
You're gone, but you're going to see things through my eyes now.
Oh, I love that. It's beautiful. It's really beautiful. So are there, when you were like on the bridge, just working or whatever and were you apprehensive when you would get a call? Because they're not all suicide calls. Like, did you feel that level of anxiety about it?
You do, but it's a challenge. It's a life challenge almost. Let me get there because I don't know who's there. Is it a citizen? What is their training in this? Is it a Golden Gate Bridge security guard? Some of those people are, some of them are really good. Some of them not so good.
Yeah.
But let's get there and I want everybody to be safe and happy. Not going to have it, but that's what I'm there, kind of almost an ambassador more than law enforcement down there.
Yeah, I love that. So in terms of like your own life, because you've been vocal about your own life experiences and the challenges that you've faced, just through like loss and health and, all different kinds of things, child abuse as well.
Yes.
What would you say? I mean, I know without even knowing you and knowing a lot about that, I know that a lot of that is what's created who you are today and your ability to sit with people. So could you describe like how you feel like that prepared you to be on that bridge? I don't think any of it's a coincidence. I think it's incredible.
Sure. Well, just so folks know, I had cancer when I was 20 years old in the United States Army in Europe, testicular cancer at 20 years old. I turned 21 the day they flew me back to the United States. So testicular cancer, your manhood, people didn't talk about it way back then. Yes. So many emotions and so many things hit. I had 3 operations, including a big one down my whole sternum for a lymphandectomy where they take out lymph nodes. They took out around 45 and about 37 were cancerous. So that cancer had spread up into my abdomen. But chemotherapy and everything, we get all through that. I've had a couple of motorcycle crashes, one in particular that I was hit by another motorcyclist head on that had crossed double yellows that really took a brain toll on me. Lost my mother, who watched her die from cancer when she was just 49 years old.
How old were you?
What people go through. I believe I was 27 at the time.
Wow. Okay. Mm-hmm.
Watching her last breath and just 49 years old. And just the different things that we go through, watching what has happened down at that bridge with losing some folks, getting some brain trauma, having 3 operations on my heart and stents put in my heart, all these different things. But I will tell you the one that kind of, I say, took my soul and damaged me the worst out of anything that I've been through or anything I've seen on the highway patrol was that child abuse. And I can't even say the word, almost sexual abuse when I was 8 to 10 years old by a neighbor. That has taken a toll.
Yes. Yes.
That I'm still working on, and I'm 63. Yes. So that has really been damaged. Yeah.
Yes. So you can see how, do you think that understanding that level of damage, I just will say, just to, be clear, I was also sexually abused. I'm open about it. And it is a soul crusher. It is like your dignity, your sense of like, it's almost like for forever, I felt dirty, just like something with shame, like core pit of shame. Somehow when I say blame, we blame ourselves for someone else's actions. Like we take on the shame of the action, Yes. So what I'm curious about for you is that, and I believe like so many of the different things that I've been through, that they were happening for me, which is really weird to say about child abuse. instead of to me, because whatever the reason is that it was allowed to happen, that God allowed it to happen, that I learned that I was going to squeeze the shit out of that thing to make sure that enough juice comes out to help somebody else. Like, no matter what, I'm using it. I'm not going to use it for my discretion. I'm using it for good. So, keep that coming, but it's not going to turn out well for you in this, the negative way. So for you, how do you feel having had that terrible experience prepared you to be at that bridge with Kevin, with any of them, Jason?
I try to really look deep and try to combine these things that I've been through, not comparing them. I don't talk about any of that stuff with someone on the bridge because it is not the Kevin Briggs show. It is always about them. But if they come up and say something, well, you don't know what it's like to have cancer. Well, maybe we can talk about this, and commonalities can create comfort.
Yes.
When talking to someone. But I try to look at it as me as all these different things to really get the empathy and to put my heart and soul into this work. And it's almost a covering when I'm there. It's almost, even though it might be 55 degrees and cold as hell, you get so enveloped in doing this work that sometimes you don't even feel it.
Yeah. I feel like, it's like you've been given like this it's like a cushion of love around you, that is pure love, right? That, how it's like, it says that, I'm not even going to quote the scripture because it's like, doesn't exactly apply, but it's like, to him who's been forgiven much. And I don't mean that you did anything wrong, loves much. And it's like, so I feel like it almost like translates into, to him who's been like through a lot, like you're able to love so much more. You don't judge, right? You know what shame and all of that feels like, right?
Right. It's just there. Yeah. I mean, I think my job was to get them over to where they want to be here.
Yes.
And then get them out to where hopefully they can get some help.
Yeah. Yeah, I'm sorry. Go ahead.
No, I'm saying that's the purpose of me being there.
Yeah. What I love about what you're saying is that you're very clear on your mission. The purpose is to get them to want to live and come over. And your purpose is to only be in their bubble, to hear, validate, the thing, and the three things you said, like to give
reason,
them
purpose, and hope.
Reason, purpose, and hope. One
or all three.
Yes.
Yeah.
But I feel like that being like you doing it in that way is very, well, it's probably because of all your training and, their military background, like just having that very precise way of you knowing where you're going and everything else is not distracting you, right?
I think for me, it helps narrow it down. Okay, stick to this.
Yes.
Yes. And just like you said, not trying to fix anything. That's a big one.
Yeah.
I mean, that's just going to upset them. They've been through a lot.
Have you ever tried to fix people by mistake in the beginning?
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah.
What would happen?
Oh, it would blow up in your face. You would tell someone, you know what, you need to try this. There's a lot of medications coming out instead of, so I have these sayings that is, you should calm down. I understand things will get better. Don't use those.
Like never tell somebody to calm down. No.
How about, have you tried this? There's things out there. I didn't know a lot of things. I because of the nightmares that I get, it was offered to me, a stellate ganglion block. And what the hell is that? But it was injections in my neck. Use a sonogram for these precise injections on this ganglion nerves that come down to kind of help reset my brain and things. And it worked. I did EMDR, so I'm open to anything and everything to get these nightmares out of here.
Yes, yes. Yeah. I mean, I don't want to like bring into your nightmares, but one of the things I find fascinating and disturbing also about nightmares, because I used to have nightmares. And one of the things, I guess it was God that showed me to do, because I would have this repeated nightmare of like, and it was so scary, of me being in my childhood home and running around. People are trying to come in, obviously, to hurt me. And I'm running around trying to lock broken things that won't lock. And I can't, and my mother's there and no one's helping me. So I'm like terrified. And it's like a very young child terror, right? And something came over me. It was probably God speaking to me, I think, just as a person of faith, that just one day I was like, you know what? I'm going to go back in that dream.
Yep.
And I'm going to intentionally, I'm going to turn around, and I'm going to face that effer. And when you take like I would tell clients, just, if you can imagine doing that, when you go back into your dream, it's like an option. It changes the landscape of your brain a bit. Wow. And do you know when I did it, I also went back in my parents' home, and I brought a construction crew in my mind, and I just renovated the whole house and made it a different house. And I stopped having that dream.
Wow.
Isn't that weird?
Isn't that something?
Yes, because we have power that we don't know. And like, yeah, I've had people like when they have dreams of people chasing them or somebody chasing them, that I say, just even having the conversation and saying to them, hey, have you ever thought of like in the dream, if we just imagine right now that, what do you think would happen in the dream if you just turned around and looked at that monster? Like, what do you, like right here together, what do you think would happen? And they're like, I never thought about that. But because I introduced the idea, then they're like, then they just end up dreaming that thing and it stops it. Isn't that weird?
That's something else. That's fascinating.
Yeah, I just stumbled on that in my own life. It's not like any training. I don't know.
Most of us will do anything not to have these nightmares, anything legal.
Yes. But it's like, you know what I so believe? And look, this is what I do, Kevin, as I start taking over. So I'm just going to say this one other thing, because you are the show right now. But I love that we have so much power, that we have so much more power inside of us than we know. We don't know that we can co-create with God. Like we can change the way we think. There's so much we can do to change our lives that we don't know it. Yeah. And that's what I really want so much for people. So back to you, and when you're describing, your own pain, and I would conclude, which I have no idea if I'm right, that because of the depth of your personal pain and shame, you can meet them where they are because of your own life. Do you think that that's true?
I think so. I really do, without talking about it. Yeah. Hey, I know what you're talking about. I've been there, done that. Seen that. I can't stand that stuff.
No, I don't mean that.
But just by looking into my eyes,
yes,
and talking to someone, said, well, maybe he does get this, and understand what I'm going through a little bit. Not that he, according to me, can fix anything, but at least, you know what, this guy gets it. He's there. Maybe I'll talk with him for a while longer. Let's see what he has to say.
You know what, Kevin, like when I'm thinking about that, I'm not even thinking that you're telling them. I'm just thinking that inside of your heart, like, maybe you don't know the exact land that they're in, but it's familiar. Like, some depth of pain. So like, you resonate together somehow, right? Spiritually, like.
I think so.
Yeah.
And on the outskirts in negotiations, we call it rapport building, but I think it goes much deeper than that.
Oh, yeah. I really believe that. I think that there's so much more happening spiritually and energetically when you're with a person. Like, it's not the words. It's just, and your presence is so loving and kind. Do you know that about you?
I would say no. I hope so, but
you would say no? Really?
No, I mean, I don't know that.
Yeah.
I'm just here. To me, it's when I was doing the job, it's another day. It's another day on the job.
Yeah.
Talk to Kevin Berthia, and that's the worst day of his life. To me, it's another day on the job on that bridge. But that doesn't mean that it takes away from anything that I'm going to do and the direction that I want to go.
Yeah.
It's
Right.
my heart and soul up here too.
Right. Yeah. Yeah. I love that. I understand that. I'm very moved by everything you're saying, but I want to make sure I have a whole list of questions that I've written down. I don't want to forget them. So
Sure.
I told you this before we went on camera, so I don't want to forget. This one right here, like, what's something hopeful you've learned about the human condition through these conversations, like on the edge, like something that, because at first you were scared, and then I'm just wondering something that you've learned.
It's amazing how resilient people can be. Sometimes they need a push or a hand or a hug, a push towards, hey, we got to go towards here, not towards, I would say, the dark. We need a push to get them to seeing a therapist. I'm not seeing a therapist. That means I'm weak and these types of things. No, sometimes we need to push in that direction. Well, have you tried it? I want to try everything. I'll go to the ballet. Maybe if I don't like it, I don't like it. I'm not going back. But
Right.
try everything.
Yeah.
Try. If you don't like that certain food, same thing with your mental health.
Yeah. Yeah. It's
Try
true.
it out. And a good therapist will tell you, hey, if we're not developing this rapport, then please feel free to seek someone else. And I love that when they do that. That's the mark of a good therapist when they do
Yes.
that.
Yeah.
But that's what I think is trying to get that out there for folks.
A lot of that really just brings up to me the thought of connection is really like a therapeutic intervention, like that. Just having that relationship is so important. Even if the therapist isn't super crazy skilled, but you can connect with that person, and every week you can just share, you can be there with them over time. That really is incredible.
It is, because you're allowed to vent.
Yeah.
And they're saying, oh, we need to go this way, this way, this way, this way. Sometimes it's just a matter of taking it in. Well, thank you for sharing all that with me here. And we use that for another time or something. Not every day is a fixable day.
Yes. You know what? I'm being transformed by our conversation in a few ways. And I just want to tell you this, that I'm a mother of 4, right? Grown kids. And one of the things I had to learn over time was not to fix, like from what you're describing, right?
Yeah.
And I would be curious to know about like adolescence, if you see a lot of adolescents on the bridge as well, because I think that's such an at-risk age, because they don't even have evidence for like things getting better necessarily. But one of the things that I had to learn, and I learned so much later, and I don't know, I still don't really have it down, but like the idea, like I always say, like, don't tell them something they need to tell themselves,
Nice. Yeah.
And I feel like just parents, and I want to say this to anyone who's listening, because I just feel like therapists make this mistake and other people make this mistake where it's like parents just get terrified and they act silly. They're just scared, and then they will do the thing that maybe is not what's best for the child. Like, no, you're not going to think that way, or whatever, that is just really not the way to help them. And I would be so curious what you think about that, or have you been able to, like, after someone comes over the rail, maybe an adolescent, that you've talked to families, or maybe not, but I just wonder about that.
Well, and I do a lot of presentations throughout the year for audiences from the far out back of Australia to Jewish community centers to the military, whoever, because we're all, people trying to get along here. But adolescents, they're tough. They're my toughest crowd. I think I went and worked at my schools for 5 years just to be around more adolescents. I finally had to quit because I started doing too many presentations. But I figure if I went and worked there doing mentoring and home visits for kids who weren't showing up, so that helped me. But the thing with kids is we have to recognize that their frontal lobe, and this, is not fully developed until maybe 25, sometimes males, sometimes up to 30. I know I mature a hell of a lot slower. I'll be the first to admit it.
Do you have yours? I'm just kidding.
I'm still working on it. I'm still working on it. But my own son, I have 2 boys. My oldest son, struggles and still does. He's been hospitalized for mental illness. Yeah. He's been engaged in non-suicidal self-injury. So all these things that I would see on the outside is happening in my own life.
Yes.
And yes, as a parent, we do see it different. Your brain becomes scrambled. If it's somebody else's kid, I can tell you do this, yes. try this, try this, try this, try this. If it's my kid, the brain just, you're all messed up.
Yes.
But that's when it comes to family. But we know kids because as far as their brain, they're just looking 5, 6, 7 years in the future, whereas we are looking long term. That makes a big difference when they're being bullied. Maybe when they didn't make a grade that they really needed to get for college or a team. Sometimes they think it's over, it's the end. And we get them up on that bridge and we see them on the cameras. And usually someone will come up and walk around for a while, an adult, maybe go over that rail and stand there for a bit before they go. Whereas kids, most of the time they come up, they look around and they're just gone. We don't even get a chance to speak with them.
Yes. Yes.
And another one is what I'm seeing a lot these days is that non-suicidal self-injury, that cutting, so to speak.
Yeah.
That coping mechanism of cutting, trying to handle your emotions. I was in Montana just a few weeks ago, and I've done a number of different talks there, but I was at a school, and the last time I was there, it happened the same thing. Montana is generally first, second, or third in suicide because of lack of help up there. They are so far apart from one another in these towns. They don't get a lot of help, very rural. But I did a talk at a high school, and then a young girl came up afterwards when nobody was around hardly and said, hey, I put up coping mechanisms, things that you could do instead of cutting yourself or instead of hurting yourself in a manner. And she wanted to get a copy of that, take a picture of it. The same thing happened last time I was there just a few weeks ago. This non-suicidal self-injury is big with kids these days, trying to cope with everything that's going on.
It is. We see that a lot. And the list that you put up, is it the actual behaviors? What is the list?
I put up instead of hurting yourself, here's some things to do. So for instance, instead of cutting your wrists, how about if we took a rubber band and pulled it all the way out and snapped it? And that hurts. I think we've all done that. That is painful. But it releases those endorphins. Yes. And then if you want it, this goes a little deeper. If you needed to see red for some reason, you thought it was blood, how about coloring it with a red felt pen? Something like that. Listening to music, immersing your feet in really cold water. Yes. Something like that. Mm-hmm. Those things. So I put up a list about that, and it seems to resonate with our youth.
You know what I want to do? Where would I find that list? Because I'm going to give it to our therapist to give to our clients. I
could send it over to you. If you could remind me, I'm happy to get it and send it over to you.
I would love that. Yeah. That's beautiful. And those are really practical. They're cool. It is. Yeah.
It is things that actually work that I have learned along the way from talking to kids, from talking to mental health professionals, seeing the things that I have with my own boy. So it's accumulation of things. And, like anything else, work in progress. I want to bring good stuff to those, even though this is a crappy subject when we're talking about mental illness and suicides and non-suicidal self-injury. But I'm very, very thankful for you for doing this, because if we don't talk about it, a lot of people are going to get hurt. A lot of people are going to die. We need to get the word out there.
Yes.
So
and you want to know what I think we're talking about? Life.
Absolutely.
I think we're talking about life-giving, right? Like this is
and the ups and downs that we all have.
Yes, all of us.
Yeah, I had all this stuff happen to me, but there's folks out there that have had a ton more, and maybe it was just one event, but it was huge for them.
Yeah.
If you think you're going to go through life without adversity, I will tell you, you are wrong.
100%. Wouldn't you agree? I'm sure you feel this, but it's not actually the adversity, but it's the way we interpret it. The meaning we attach to it.
It's what we do with it, how we take it in, and what we get out of it. Yes.
I do have to say that over any intervention. I really don't care what it is. What you're saying about listening without an agenda, just to understand another human being, allows them to, I really think it's the greatest shot at living, because you don't feel so crazy and sad and alone. I think it just means so much, right?
And that's what this is about. And not everybody's suicidal. They may just be going through a tough time.
Right.
By being there for them.
Mm-hmm.
And I would tell folks, don't have this conversation in a coffee shop. It sounds good, right? But it may break down. So have this conversation where they're comfortable. And if you're behind a desk, I talk to therapists a lot and things, and I say, and mind you, I sat at a therapy session with my boy when he went in when he was suicidal. And it was horrible. But I would tell folks, please try this, because I went to a psychiatrist and it took me decades to talk about this before I went in. And I didn't know what I was stepping into. But she came out from behind her desk, and I loved that. Absolutely loved that. She sat sideways.
Oh, yeah.
And there was nothing between us. And then we had the door in case I wanted to walk out.
Yes.
Instead of sitting and having this barrier, and I hate barriers. Yes, I'll say that word, hate.
Yes.
She came out from behind that desk and sat sideways. So there was 4 or 5 feet between us. And it just opened it. So I preach this and I teach this now. If you're going to have these conversations, unless there's a safety factor, come out from behind this safe zone that you're in.
Do you think therapists are doing that now?
Oh, I watched it. I watched it happen. I wish this was a horrible experience. And with my boy. Yeah, it was horrible.
Yeah.
And what was said to him that day, I wish it was tape recorded or videoed.
Yes.
It would have been a perfect what not to do. Yes.
I do have to say, which is, this is my field, but I think there's a lot of things that are happening that aren't the best for people. So anybody who ends up going to a therapist and it doesn't feel right, you don't feel like that connection, it doesn't feel like you're accepted and you can be yourself, that don't give up, because there are people who would be there that would help and would be different, just a normal person. And, I've seen that prior to my husband's choice to die by suicide, he was seeing a therapist that I don't know what the details were, but I think she introduced ideas to his mind about things that his mind was not able to process. And he was then having all this PTSD because he had been in the military and whatever. And, for a moment, not to be disrespectful of your time, but I'd be curious to know your perspective, like on the suicide mind, because I have my own, like Kayla Steckline, she was on my podcast and she talked about Fear Gone Wild. That's her book, that her husband died by suicide. And I even watched with my own husband, like just he was coming in and out of like reality, like the way he was thinking. And I just watched it just eclipse his mind. He couldn't see anything that was actually true. And I can almost hear when people start to talk, just little glimpses of it beginning. Like, I'm a burden, or nobody really loves me. Those kind of things, they're like an alert to me. It doesn't mean that they've gotten there yet, but like a thought that's thought for more than 17 seconds attracts to it one of so it like can build into this whole accumulation of belief that could kill someone.
Yes.
So I'm just wondering what your thoughts are on that, or if it's.
And I want to touch on the therapist, because I kind of dogged them a little bit, but I do want to say I get to work with a lot of therapists and I do a lot of studying. There are phenomenal people out there.
Yeah.
But ask, if you're going, let's just use what I do for a suicide assessment.
Yeah.
Are you trained in suicide assessment?
Yes.
If it's a heart surgery, this is common sense. You're going to a heart surgeon, right?
Yes.
Same thing with therapy. Mm-hmm. If it's a guy that was in battle, you need to have somebody trained in that.
Exactly.
Do not go to somebody who thinks they know what they're doing.
Yeah.
Make sure are you trained in this? This individual that my boy and I went to was not trained, in my opinion only. Didn't ask him. Was not trained in suicide assessment because of the absolute horrible job that he did.
Yeah.
But you learn as you go along. So please, whatever you're going through, ask, are they trained in that? Very, very important.
may I ask you, so in terms of like the training, I have seen that even when people are trained, if they're like we describe you and like how you come into the situation that you're there for them, it's like a different experience. I just have seen people who are trained with the like tasks, the questions to ask, that it's mechanical and it's not connected, and I think particularly adolescents really feel that. And that can be translated into there's no hope,
We see that when they use these forms, the Columbia form, the PHQ-9.
Yes.
You fill these little things out before you get in there. They look at that. They already have a determination what they're going to say. Yeah. Absolutely. We see this time and time again. How about filling it out together and going through it one by one?
Yeah.
Because every time I went to my health organization, they would give me the PHQ-9 and I'd fill that out before I went in and talked to someone.
Yeah.
I think it'd be a much better, not even to have it in front of me, have them have it and ask the question, but ask it how they want to ask it.
Yes. Yeah. That's wonderful. I agree.
I think that would be a much better way of doing it. I could write down anything. You think I'm not going to, if I'm going to kill myself, then I'm going to write that?
Right. Exactly.
Most people won't. Just have everything's fine. Having a great day. Just had to be here because it's a scheduled appointment.
Yes.
Yeah.
Also the idea of like, the suicidal ideation plan or intent, like those kinds of things. Like, so if somebody has like ideation, like, and to say, oh, they don't have an intent, and just like, then they just say, oh, they're fine. That's like so not true. It could not be true, So it's like, there's so many deeper caring questions to ask.
There is.
So I love that you bring that up.
On the other side of that is that a crisis safety plan. I am a big believer in a crisis safety plan, a good one.
Yes, I agree.
And for folks who don't know, it's a list of coping mechanisms or strategies that you can use. You may be doing well right now, but a month from now on an anniversary of a loved one passing or something like that, maybe you think, you know what, man, I've had it. I just can't do it. You would use this crisis safety plan as something you fill out when you're doing well and you have by you, whether on your phone, on your refrigerator, in your pocket.
Yes.
I'm a big believer in those.
Yeah. I really agree. And I feel like, the time that you sit with a client and you together, you collaborate and invest in that, like, oh, I'm, helping the client invest in any future, possible impulse. Right. And them understanding it. Then it's already there. It's like memorizing something that, I'm not talking about memorizing that, but like memorizing something and then when you don't have it, you don't have the strength to do the thing, like a scripture or like a slogan from the 12-step program. Like you have it in your back pocket to keep yourself, it's your investment, right?
Absolutely. Yeah. I think kind of look at it. If you just got involved in an accident, you're not all here.
Yeah.
If you could pull out something and go, oh, this is what your insurance company gives you. Make sure to ask these questions. Make sure to take pictures. You have something to go off of right down the line of what to do.
Yeah, I love that. I love being prepared.
Yes.
Preparation is so good. Yes. But yeah, that's why I think like I love the military and things that like structure, like you can count on it. Yes. Right?
I'm big on being prepared as we talk. I mean, I have some notes in front of me in case I need them. So some things
of course. I have mine, but I'm afraid to look at them because I don't want to look like a jack. I want to put on my glasses. So you were you were just saying something, and then you said I want to talk about the therapist, but I forgot what my other question was. What was my other question?
I did too.
All right, that's okay.
That's exactly what I do. Is I go off on tangents. So
yes,
we're going to be talking about something, but I'm going to lead you down a road way here only because it's in my head right now. And I have this chemo brain. Yes. I have 100% disability from the VA for all these different things that have happened to me. And I use that as my excuse.
You know what I was going to say, which is like, I act like I have the right to say it, but I'm like, you don't have a chemo brain. You have an amazing brain. And do you hear how we treat ourselves? Like you survived cancer. I know you don't like maybe making this about you, but I mean, you are on the podcast. I mean, we're talking about you. So I don't know. I think
made it
like
to
this
this
is
level.
like people learn from, a role model, like who you are as a man. I like people to see that. And you're being humble, but I mean, no, I don't, I mean, okay, I'm not going to go into it, but anyhow, so let me just see what else. Do you remember the thing that I asked you before?
I was trying, but we got off on a tangent, and I'll be honest with you. No,
Yeah,
we could do a rewind.
I know. That's fine. So here's my, if you could change one myth about suicide, most people carry these myths.
Yes.
And it doesn't have to be one, maybe there's three. Myth about suicide. What would you change?
Don't think that it can't happen to you or your family. Given the right number of wrong circumstances, we could have been switched. It could have been Kevin Berthea talking to me over that rail. And I say that with that picture up there. Don't ever think that you can't get to that level. I've had parents, one place out of this. I've been to Germany, Mexico, all these countries speaking, just very humbling. And it's been an honor to do this. My own county here in Marin County at a school, charter school, where the parents, I like to not just talk to kids, but at night do one for the parents. Otherwise, we're just kind of doing half ass here kind of thing. But the parents didn't want me to come in and talk to the kids. We don't have this problem here. This is a very affluent community. This is Marin County. A lot of money. We know what we're doing. We handle our business. The only place that I've been through in my 50 talks a year, whatever, since 2013 is my own county, where they think they're better than suicide. They're better than mental illness. How dare you? Boy, that makes me angry.
Me too.
Because then the kids suffer.
They do.
Yeah.
And you know what? I do think that there's a lot of that in affluent communities, a lot. But I love what you just said, because, and I do believe that I was given the opportunity, and I want to call it an opportunity, to feel that moment of what it would feel like, because it came over me in it was like a long time ago, but it was like I owed money. Just things seemed so dark for me. And I remember just all of a sudden feeling like there was zero hope. And I actually thought and wanted to die by suicide in that moment. And I'm so grateful that I felt it, because I didn't act on it, but it was something that I don't think, if you haven't actually felt it, that you would know. First of all, know it's possible to happen to you, or know, because I would have told you right 5 minutes before that, I'm never going to think like that. And it was such an odd experience. And I felt so, I'm going to tell you what it was weird, is that I felt this incredible, like I found a solution.
You're at ease.
I felt suddenly at peace.
Yeah.
And if anyone's listening, I just want to say that isn't accurate. Like, I would not have been at peace, and anyone around me would have, but it was that moment when you feel like there is no answer to something, and then peace comes on you, because that feels like the only solution. And I do have to say that my husband, who had died by suicide, I actually told him, and that I had that it was so scary, and I felt, and he helped me. He was like, you know what, that things can always change. It just the way that he spoke to me and listened without judgment. Like, he wasn't like, oh my God. He was like, yeah, no, I get it. I understand. And just such a, and that actually brought me out of it. I had hope immediately after him understanding me. The only reason I share that is because of what you said. I think that it can happen to anyone. And you,
Absolutely.
Before we started to talk, record, you mentioned about your friend's child. and the tragedy you just experienced. Is that something, should we open up that conversation or no?
Yes. And yeah,
No.
when my mom passed away,
Yeah.
I went to a Catholic school
Yeah.
in my town, and my father was big into the school. He put 4 kids through this school. He would be on the pulpit every Sunday. He raised a lot of money for this church. Well, he's Catholic, of course, as I am. My mom was Protestant. When she passed away at just 49 years old, because she wasn't a Catholic, they did not allow her to have a mass in the church. And that hit me as hard as her death did. And I gave up on the church. I said, no, if this is how you are, I want no part of this.
Yeah.
A year and a half ago, a close friend of mine in Missouri lost, and she's a mental health professional, does this work for a living, lost her son, a teenager, to suicide. When I heard this news about my friend's son passing, I said, you know what? I'm going to go back to church and pray for all sorts of things, So I started doing that, and this was October 2 years ago now. And I've been going, I'm trying to go every week when I'm home and not traveling, just to sit. I don't go in, like I said, when it's mass. I'm not ready for that. But I go in when nobody's there just to sit. And I think it really has had a profound effect on me of starting this again.
Yeah. Yeah.
So I think it's been for the good. It really has. Just take time, physical time out of my day to go and do this. If I can't take time to do this, if I can't take time to help someone, what am I doing? Why am I here?
Right.
So, I think a lot of us, I am way there watching way too much TV. Shut that off and get something done.
Yes. I believe in that. I believe in the practice also for anyone who's discouraged, like if we keep the promises we make to ourselves, like it really gives us confidence, and like we all know like that one thing we could do that would change our whole life. It could even just be 5 minutes, closing your eyes, like, and dictating how your thoughts start your day or dictating how you go to sleep at night in your mind. Like that changes outcomes, and when you're describing church, it's interesting because I've gone to church like my whole adult life, and I stopped for a while because of people, not man, not God, right? The way that people were in church, right? So, but now I go to church just to connect with what you're saying, just to hear, like just to experience God myself, not even what somebody's saying, just the worship, the music, and just connect with God, because I think that's what we all need. It's like, it's our lifeline.
Yes.
It's like
Absolutely.
air, right?
It is. It really is. It does make a difference, because I can't really even explain it, but it makes a difference.
Yes.
And it can if you let it.
I have a question for you.
Yeah.
What is one question that you wish I asked you?
Boy, that's a good question.
I actually think it's a great question myself. Yes.
I think if I had to ask myself a question, I would ask myself, how do I do this? How do I get on these podcasts? How do I get in front of people, whether that's 5 people, whether it's 500 people? I ask myself this, how am I doing this? So I think that's
so now I'm asking you. My question is,
you know what?
How are you doing this?
Faith. It has to be God. I'm telling you, because I was a traffic cop, not to belittle that, because I loved the job. I loved what I did. But never would I ever have imagined doing a TED Talk, doing this podcast, getting up in front, on stage in front of a bunch of people. That's simply not me. I'm the introvert. And I tell folks, when I get off stage, I'm in my hotel room. I'm not out partying. I'm in my hotel room, ordering a bunch of food, watching Sci-Fi Channel, escapism. I go, how could this be? So there has to be something assisting me along the way. And that's the faith.
I gotta say, listen, I think that is like part of life. Because if like, I don't know why I'm going into these Bible stories. It's not like I'm a Bible thumper and, like trying to like, but I don't know why it's just coming to me. Like when you think of Gideon in the Bible, he was like hiding. He was hiding because he had like a job to do to go out and like face like war. And while he's hiding, terrified, probably feeling completely emasculated, God comes to him and says, mighty man of valor. And then like Moses, like whatever, he stuttered and didn't want to, do this heroic thing that he did. And I feel like that's you. Like, I've discovered that I'm an introvert too. I like to be alone. And it's interesting how God uses people who will not say it's them.
Yes. It can't be about me. It's not. It is. And I hate to say this as a speaker because you want to do more business and get out there more. But I tell folks, you can forget the name, just don't forget the message. I'm huge on, I'm going to tell you a bunch of stories, but there's going to be takeaways. And here's the takeaways is, how do we help ourselves? How do we help one another? If I just got up there and told you a bunch of stories without anything, well, that's almost like a comedian or somebody getting up there. Yes. I don't believe in that. If you can't get up there and help people with what we're doing, then in this business anyway, with mental health, you have no reason to go there. This is not the Kevin Briggs show. Look, he went up and talked for an hour, 2 hours, 4 hours, all about himself. Is what he's went through.
Yep.
Who cares? It is about what can those folks go home with. So I think, and that's what this show is.
Yes.
Yes, you might be interviewing folks, but it's what you've gone through. It's what they've gone through. How can we help those folks who are watching or listening?
I'll tell you something. I read like 10 pages a day, and I just read something on specialized knowledge. It's in Think and Grow Rich, and it describes how the importance of knowledge is just everywhere. Like it means nothing. Like like the way you're describing going up on a stage. But if somebody could take whatever it is, the information, and then it becomes like specialized, applicable to their life. Like, well, this is right. It's not the Alison show. It's not the Kevin show. It doesn't matter. Like even when I was getting ready, I'm like, you know what? I'm so damn vain. I always want to look good. And I'm like, Alison, this is not about you. I had to like correct myself. This is not about you looking good on the screen, for God's sakes. And I have to like slap myself and go, what is this about? What do you really want? Right? So I love that.
But that's perfect. That's exactly who we want doing these things.
Yeah.
And we all know those folks. Maybe we've seen them on stage. Maybe we've seen them on TV or whatever else preaching that is about them. And let me tell you all about me. And it's always about them. That's not what it's about.
No. You know what I wonder? Like, because I like call myself an egomaniac with an inferiority complex, like, and it's just like, but really, I've heard people describe going on stage as like the way not to be nervous is if you're nervous, it's because you're wondering about how they're going to see you. But if you're going there to give something and it's about them, then the nervousness goes away. And right. And if you're going to go if you were going to go on the stage and say, here, I want to give you $10,000, each one of you, you wouldn't be nervous.
Right.
Right.
Know what you're going to put out. Know your audience. Yeah. Be prepared.
Yeah.
And that's the biggest thing is people, they want the information.
Yes.
Nobody's in that audience going, boy, I hope he trips. I hope he doesn't succeed. No, They want you to do well. And by the way, here's a funny one on this. I have 3 rules on stage. Don't trip, swear, or throw up.
Oh, well, that's, I think I might swear. I'm not sure. My question for you in this moment, what can we give to take away? Let's say someone is listening to this, which is very possible. Someone listening to this who wants to die today. What could we give them to walk away with? That's a tough question, right?
Well, that really is, I would say, I would talk about a crisis safety plan.
Yeah.
What in your life value? What do you have? What have you done? What do you want to do? What are some goals that you have that you might not be thinking about? I will tell you, and I don't know you. I'm not talking to you, Allison, but those folks, we have worth. We have things that we are going to do. Sometimes it takes years to find those. What is your purpose? You may be 40 years old and think, what is my purpose? I can't do that. Well, okay, we start new. You might have to start new a whole bunch of times.
Yes.
I never thought I would be doing this. I was, like I said, a traffic cop. I left my job at age 50 to do this. I thought, you know what? Boy, I may be working at a grocery store or something a year or two. I have no clue what I'm doing. I've been in government service, cradled all my life doing these different things. So you may have to go a whole different route, but you do have reason and purpose. Sometimes it takes a while to find that. If you're not doing well, if you're suffering from mental illness, if you're on a lot of medication, please don't give up. Keep going back. See if they can redo that. Whatever it is, just don't give up.
Yes. Yes. Stay another minute. Stay another
minute, another day. Yes. And it can be very, very difficult. You may just see the dark side of this. Mm-hmm. Give it some time. Do whatever you need to do to get past this crisis.
Yeah. You know what I wonder, and I'm going to just say this, and I'm not going to kidnap you, take you hostage, but basically, in regard to what you just said, what do you think about the idea that the evidence that I'm, meant to be here, the evidence that I have some purpose is that I'm here? And that even if, because I'll say, just even on answering, suicidal things, just the fact you may not, people say nobody loves me. And I think one of my answers, which I don't know, I really don't know if it's the best answer or not, but it's what I got in the moment, even though I'm a therapist. So it's as evidenced by whatever your experience is, because people are being abused, maybe their parents who are telling them they don't love them. I mean, there's real stuff out there that's happening like that. So I say, if you can understand just by evidence of your heartbeat and you breathing and being here, if you can shift from, if it's possible for you to see that even though it feels like they decide your value, is it possible for your value to come, that it doesn't come from any other human being outside of you, right? And that it may not feel like that now, but the evidence is your heartbeat, and your breathing, and that you're here for a reason, right? So I don't know, but
maybe
that helps.
Your direction isn't discovered yet.
Yes.
Maybe you're 15 going through a lot of stuff. Maybe you're 55 going through a lot of stuff.
Yeah.
Give it time. Keep going. Surround yourself with good people. That's one thing that can really, really help. Surround yourself with good people.
Yes.
Because if they just keep kicking us down, eventually that's how we're going to feel.
Exactly.
Very low and not worthy. So surround yourself with good people. And, you and I are telling folks a bunch of stuff. It's much, much harder when you're going through it.
Yes.
But have value in yourself. You are here for a reason.
Yes.
Really are. Sometimes it takes time. It may take years. It may take decades to really figure that out. We're all still exploring. I changed a whole different way of life at age 50. Very scared. Am I going to make a mortgage payment? Am I going to be able to do this?
Yes.
So it's scary. You may have health issues. I got a whole bunch of them, thyroid and kidneys, all from this chemotherapy, all these different things. But I'm sure I'm thankful to wake up in the morning.
Yes.
And I had an old Italian guy sitting down in Sausalito. I'd be sitting down there with a cup of coffee, and he'd walk by every day really slow. He was an elderly guy and just walk with. He goes, every day he'd walk by me, he goes, don't forget to wake up in the morning.
Oh,
and he'd tell us that all the time.
Beautiful.
Yeah.
I love that. It's beautiful. So if, in regard to you and all the wonderful work you're doing, I just want to really, really thank you for sharing your time with me and all the listeners. And I want you to know that people like in a lot of other countries are listening, and you may not even be able to see them as, subscribed, but I know they are because they'll message me. And I know that you've made a difference by just being who you are. Sorry to highlight you, but, being who you are, being willing to care more about others. So I just really want to thank you. And I want to know how everyone could best serve your mission. Like, how can they find you?
Yeah.
What is it that you need to help you help all these people who need help?
Yeah. Right now I have a book out. I'm rewriting that. I did not put the chapter out. I didn't talk about the sexual abuse for decades. I finally did. I'm barely touching on it. It's still very difficult for me.
Yes.
But I want to have a chapter on it. But I don't even feel I could write this chapter appropriately myself. So I'm looking for someone to write this chapter, based on my story for abuse for my book. I'm redoing things in this book. But yeah, if they need looking for someone to come out and talk to them, or a group, they could just look up Kevin Briggs. Usually I'll pop up somewhere along there. Or my organization is called Pivotal Points. So it's www.pivotal-points.com. And happy to talk to folks. Just what you're doing here is fantastic. I welcome this opportunity, and I'm very, very grateful for it.
I love that. Thank you so much. It means so much to me that you came. And I know that you've made a difference on this show. So I appreciate you.